The dark truth about female nature is not romantic. It is not kind. It is a cold calculation wired deep into the nervous system for survival and status. Men keep discovering this the hard way. They watch the woman who once looked at them with desire suddenly shift her attention the moment a higher status option appears. The shift happens fast. The explanation is older than language. The brain's mate selection system operates on hypergamy. Women instinctively seek men who rank higher in resources, protection, and social dominance. This is not a modern flaw. It is an ancient mechanism. When a man's value drops or a better prospect enters range, the emotional attachment weakens because the limbic system registers a threat to long-term security. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex processes this status loss the same way it registers physical pain. The discomfort drives her to restore balance by redirecting interest. That redirection feels like betrayal to the man who believed her affection was unconditional. Women do not fall in love with weakness. They fall in love with the feeling of ascending. The moment that ascent stops, the attraction begins to decay. This is why the same woman who once initiated contact suddenly becomes distant after a man loses his job, his confidence, or his edge. Her nervous system is not punishing him. It is simply recalibrating to new data. The man who understands this stops expecting loyalty based on past emotion. He starts managing present value instead. Observe any social setting. A woman surrounded by average men shows polite interest. Place one visibly higher status male in the room, and her body language changes within minutes. Pupils dilate. She angles toward him. Her voice pitch rises. This is not conscious manipulation in most cases. It is automatic. The brain releases dopamine when it detects upward mobility. The same chemical reward that once kept tribes alive now operates in bars, dating apps, and offices. Men who ignore this pattern keep offering loyalty and wonder why it is never matched. The second mechanism is branch swinging. When a better branch appears, she tests it while still holding the current one. This is not random cruelty. It is risk management. The female brain evolved to minimize the cost of choosing poorly because reproduction carries 9 months of vulnerability. She keeps emotional options open until the new option proves more secure. Many men discover this only after they have invested heavily. The previous emotional investment becomes sunk cost. Her attention simply moves to the branch that offers better protection and resources. Strategic distance exploits this wiring. When a man suddenly becomes less available, her uncertainty spikes. The brain hates ambiguity. The Zeigarnic effect makes unfinished business dominate her thoughts. She begins chasing closure. Each unanswered message increases his perceived value because scarcity signals high status. The man who masters this does not chase. He withdraws just enough to trigger her nervous system's need to resolve the tension. Her investment rises to fill the gap he created. Women test boundaries constantly because weak boundaries signal low status. A man who tolerates disrespect triggers her subconscious assessment that he cannot protect her or himself. The respect mechanism is fear-based. Not fear of violence, but fear of losing access to a high-value male. When consequences are immediate and consistent, her behavior stabilizes. When consequences are absent, she pushes further. This is not personal. It is dominance hierarchy navigation hardwired into social mammals. The provision trap is where most men lose power. They become the reliable provider and watch attraction evaporate. The female nervous system habituates to steady resources the same way it habituates to constant noise. The excitement fades. Intermittent reinforcement works far better. Rewards that arrive unpredictably keep dopamine loops active. The man who gives everything up front removes the chase. The man who gives in measured, unpredictable doses keeps her nervous system engaged. Look at long-term relationships that collapse after years of apparent stability. The man provided consistently. The woman's respect slowly eroded because predictability removed the status tension that first created attraction. She does not leave because she stopped caring. She leaves because the nervous system no longer registers him as a high-value protector. New options that trigger stronger dopamine responses become irresistible. Silence is one of the most powerful tools. When conflict arises, the average man explains himself. He floods her with words trying to restore connection. This hands her all the power. The man who says nothing forces her brain to fill the void. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex lights up again, creating internal pressure for resolution. She begins qualifying herself. She invests more to regain his attention. The asymmetry is everything. Her discomfort becomes his leverage. Female loyalty is context-dependent. It lasts only as long as the man remains the best available option relative to her alternatives. This is why the same woman who swears eternal devotion can leave with shocking speed when circumstances shift. Her nervous system is not built for abstract loyalty. It is built for adaptive survival. Understanding this removes the shock when it happens. The man who expects conditional loyalty prepares accordingly. He never bets his entire emotional portfolio on one person's feelings. Power in relationships flows to the person with lower emotional dependence. The moment a man needs her validation more than she needs his presence, the frame flips. Her tests intensify. Her respect declines. The man who maintains independent status, options, and emotional control keeps the upper hand. He does not do this by pretending not to care. He does it by genuinely cultivating a life where her presence is a bonus, not a necessity. Branch swinging accelerates in environments with high male variance. Dating apps amplify this because they present constant upward options. A woman's attention becomes fragmented. She keeps the current man at a baseline while evaluating others. The man who understands this stops competing for her time through niceness. He competes through demonstrated higher value and strategic withdrawal. The female shadow contains both the nurturer and the strategist. The strategist calculates relentlessly even when the nurturer appears warm. Men who only see the surface get emotionally destroyed when the strategist emerges during resource stress or better options. Cold observation reveals both sides without illusion. The man who integrates this knowledge stops projecting fairy tale permanence onto temporary chemistry. Status is the master variable. Drop in status, drop in attraction, rise in status, rise in desire. This pattern repeats across cultures and centuries because it solved ancestral survival problems. Modern environments do not change the underlying circuitry. They only change the signals. Money, confidence, social proof, and physical capability remain the primary triggers. Emotional appeals and shared history rank far lower once the initial bond fades. Strategic ignoring creates psychological reactance in reverse. When she expects attention and receives silence, her desire to regain control increases. She reaches out. She offers more. The man who rewards this investment selectively trains her nervous system to associate effort with his approval. The man who gives attention freely trains her to devalue it. Long-term pair bonding still occurs, but only when both parties maintain balanced value and the man retains frame. The moment his value slips without correction, the ancient mechanisms reactivate. This is not evil. It is biology operating exactly as designed. The man who complains about it loses. The man who studies it and adjusts wins. The ultimate advantage belongs to the man who sees female nature without rage or worship. He treats it as a predictable system. He builds his life so that her conditional loyalty serves his interests, or he moves on without devastation. He keeps options, he keeps standards, he keeps distance. This creates the only form of stability possible in a system built on constant evaluation. Most men will reject this information because it threatens their need for certainty and fairness. They prefer comfortable illusions until reality forces the lesson. The minority who accept it early gain years of leverage. They stop being surprised. They stop being used as stepping stones. They become the variable that others must adapt to instead of the variable constantly adapting. Female nature does not hate men. It simply does not prioritize their feelings above survival and status calculations. That distinction matters. Once absorbed, a man moves through relationships with clear eyes. He offers value. He enforces boundaries. He withdraws when the exchange turns negative. He never again mistakes temporary chemistry for permanent alliance. This understanding does not make relationships impossible, it makes them honest. The man who operates from reality instead of fantasy builds connections that last as long as mutual benefit holds. When benefit ends, he exits without self-destruction. That quiet strength is the real difference between perpetual disappointment and controlled power.